Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are, from uh, the Far East all the way to the United States of America, or whether you are actually in Lagos, Nigeria, as we speak. We just want to welcome all our guests to this particular edition of Broken Not Shattered. Obi and I are here to have a very good conversation. So, what we did this time around, we've introduced to Broken Not Shattered something called Let's Talk About It. And it's a segment that we're always going to have. During this segment, we'll just come on and we'll talk about any issue whatsoever, social issues, family issues, religious issues, political issues in our culture or in our community. And we believe that we can bring an impact to assist and help people wherever they are in the world. Today, my co-host Obi, who's in Lagos, Nigeria, myself out here in Washington, D.C., we will be talking about jungle justice. Say, Obi, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It's always delightful to be back in the studio to talk.
Mm-hmm. Obi, I know it's always delightful for us to catch up and talk about stuff that is going on.
Yeah.
But yesterday I watched a movie. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was very a little distressing for me. Um, I don't know why. Maybe because I could see a little bit about myself in it, and it was a Nollywood movie. Just came out called Dark October, and the movie was about something that was taking place in the southern part of Nigeria from a bunch of students that went studied at University of Port Harcourt, and these innocent kids were killed, murdered literally, because they felt that they were part of an undercrime or underground world, people who were committing crime in the community, stealing, raping. But these were innocent young boys who just one of them was actually studying engineering, the other one was studying geology. So they had big careers in front of them. They were into their rap music. They loved music. One of them actually parents lived in the UK, so he travels back and forth, you know, and they got themselves into a big mess. I'm not going to spoil the story for those who want to go and watch it. Kudos to the producer Linda Ikeji. She did a good job. I've known Linda for a while when I was back in Nigeria, and to see that she's now moved into Nollywood, that's a wonderful thing. Well, let's talk about that. I know you also went to watch it too. You watched the movie on Netflix yesterday too.
Yeah.
There's a Netflix movie. It's called Dark October. For anyone who wants to go watch it, I think it's a very. Just make sure you're ready to. It has a lot of um, intense moments. I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. So
That
yeah, go ahead. So your opinion on that, Obi, what you saw?
well, coincidentally, like we talked before we got on the studio, we watched it the same time yesterday, and that's a 2023 movie.
Yeah.
Um, it is quite traumatizing. Not going to talk much about the movie, but on the jungle justice, you know. Funny enough, I knew why. In fact, one of the things that drew my attention to the movie was that I knew when that incident took place.
And it's a true story, right? True story.
That's what I'm saying. I knew when the incident took place. So it was a true story, and to an extent, I was like, okay, let me see if the director or the producer was able to capture the storyline, and it was just apt. Just for a few things, but it was just the story, and it was quite a very sad one, I must say that.
Mm.
And and the case of jungle justice, I don't think we can exhaust it, but I know there are always two sides to it. But
Someone just sent a
well,
message saying, "What is jungle justice?" Okay, for those of us, because we have audience all over the world who are watching it,
mhm.
what is jungle justice? And he says, "Does it only happen in Africa?" Okay, so what is jungle justice? Obi, go ahead. What is jungle
Okay,
justice?
okay. So let's take it this way. I like the fact this is for a good background for us to pick up this. Now if you look at, let me begin from my background, a kind of I read forest and environmental management, and in my course there is what we call cultural method of preservation, cultural method of handling issues. Okay, so now jungle justice might be one of those cultural methods which at some point were adopted by either community or a set of people to solve their own issues. I'll give you an instance. There was a time in a place, I won't mention name, but this is true life stories. Some group of boys came together and began to terrorize a whole community. They kept doing that until one day the community rose up and said, enough is enough. Okay. Now they decided to lay ambush for these boys, and they caught some of them. So what the community did was to dig a very big ground and bury them alive.
Wow.
And some of them who escaped never came back again. And that was the end to that issue.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say, Obi, is that jungle justice basically is taking the laws into your own hand. You're taking the laws into your hand.
It's taking the law, exactly. It's taking the laws into your hand.
Because the law would ideally say, like in America, the law here is that you're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So even if you're caught red-handed, you're still innocent until proven guilty, right?
Exactly.
And then when you're now found guilty, you got to go through the process. The structure is in place where you have to go to the process, either through a jury or whatever, or just by a judge, and then you actually go through the justice system, and based on what they feel the crime is, right, you serve a term for it, right?
Yes.
Yes. The punishment, you might, in some cases, you might go for life, have life imprisonment without parole. You might have life imprisonment with parole. In some states in America here, you might even be condemned to death, and either to lethal injection or whatever it is they choose to go through, right? So all that is just, that's the process through the law, right? Or through the justice system. So jungle justice, then I'm hearing you say, is a question of when there's no process.
It is not legal.
You're guilty instantly, and justice is carried out immediately.
Exactly. Yeah.
So is this so the person now says, does it only happen in Africa? Because is it really an African thing, or is it just is it a culture, or does it happen everywhere else in the world?
No. It is not a cultural thing. It is not peculiar with a certain geography. Yes. So jungle justice can be seen, in mob actions. When you see mob action, is an element or an aspect of jungle justice.
So when if guys hit the streets and go and start bringing havoc based on how they feel, like all that,
based on how they feel, without taking it legally. It's
like the LA riots, where people feel like, okay, the police killed Rodney King, they got to go out there and fight. Floyd,
exactly, the Minnesota issue.
Yes,
the xenophobic thing in South Africa. It can happen part of the world. When people decide, okay, this system is not working for us, let's just
take the laws into our hands.
Exactly. Wow. And so what is, you made a statement, take the laws into your hands. So it's not just peculiar with Africa when it comes to taking laws into hands. Anybody can take laws into hands, and that's just good justice.
That's just wow. But sometimes the wrong victim can be. So who becomes the victim in jungle justice?
Now this is the case. Okay, if we can revisit that movie, kind of.
We don't want to go into the movie because the movie.
We're not going into the movie, but I'm just trying to cite an instance. Now, sometimes the innocent people can be victim of jungle justice. Sometimes the offenders, is it the offenders?
Yeah, the culprits. The
culprits can be victim of jungle justice. Now, before we look at who becomes the victim of the jungle justice, let's look at what's brought about jungle justice. Is it possible?
Yeah, sure.
to first look at it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
listening to you.
so because before people begin to think of jungle justice, something must have happened. You must have had a failed system where people no longer trust the legal process of handling their issues.
Right.
Now they now resort to, okay, let's do it our way and see if we can end these issues. And then in that case, the innocent might be a victim or the culprit. Now, in that case, take for instance, in an area where people have been having incidents
Been terrorized for a while.
over years of maybe terrorism attack, robbery, and all rape and all that. Yeah,
And nothing has happened. The police has not arrested anybody. Nobody is caught for the crime. It just keeps on going. So they now said vigilante is now based off.
And not just that. So when they catch someone and they take it to the police, the next thing the person is out and a lot more is happening. They have connections and all that. So the system is no longer working for them. So they now resort to, okay, let's do it ourselves. Now, when you have that kind of situation, and maybe the community or the people around decide it's okay, once we see this thing happen again, we will not get the law involved. We'll take it on our own hand. And in that case, we might have innocent people who might be out late in the night or who may be fighting over, issues that can be misplaced or misunderstood for what we were thinking that is what is going on in the environment, and they might be victim of it. And how it happens, once there is a mob action, it's difficult to control. That is always accompanied by mob action. And once the mob action begins, it's very difficult to control. And before you know, it leads to death.
Let's hold that thought. We'll dig more into it when we come back. Let's take a break. Wow. So before we went off, we were talking about jungle justice, who becomes the victim, and how does it actually end up being, how innocent people can be caught up in this mob action that could take place where people take the laws into their hands. So from a cultural perspective, and when I say culture, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the system in societies. This will always take place when the system has been broken down.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what part of the world where it takes place in. Either there's the public does not trust law enforcement anymore, or law enforcement has abused their own power, or in some cases, the process has taken place, but from the back door, somebody has been released. There's always something that goes on that doesn't that doesn't sit well with the people. And then they will now rise up to take the laws into their hand. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong for anyone to take the laws into their hands.
It's wrong.
You can easily misjudge. There's a reason why you have to walk through that process. And another thing too is most of the times when there's jungle justice, and this is just my own observation, emotions are very raw. Emotions are very raw, right? And people generally are very emotional people. So a lot of things have happened in your community, or someone has attacked your loved one. I can see how you say, you know what, someone just messed with my child. I'm going to take the laws into my hand and settle the matter, right? So it's because emotions are very raw. But when it goes through a process, you might find out that, you know what, this is not the best outcome for what I was thinking. In some cases, there are people who have been innocently killed who were the wrong victims. People have gone to prison in this part. I know for sure. A lot of people have gone to prison here because the police were in a hurry to arrest somebody and they arrested the wrong person, right? So somebody spends 30 years in prison and is unlawfully imprisoned or wrongly put in prison, and then everybody else finds out after 30 years of his entire life that he wasn't the one that committed the crime, that maybe his DNA has proven that it's impossible for him to be the one to commit the crime. It's almost like lynching someone. That's what it is. And back in America, this is February. So here, at this time of the month in the States, we talk about a lot of Black history or African American history. And one of the things that was very prominent then was lynching. So a Black man will commit a crime and he gets lynched. Literally, it's just strictly jungle justice. They pick him up, put him on a tree, and he's gone. And sometimes it could be very innocent. You know, there's a lot of stories in our history here in the States that show that there was an error. But this particular case is happening within a university community in that case. And things just spiral and go wrong. What do we do? What do you think is the smartest way to ensure that this kind of thing doesn't happen?
So again, I will take your mind back. In as much as we'll see and will stand vehemently to say that jungle justice is wrong and should be condemned. But again, let's approach it with an open mind. You know, I'll give you an instance also. The terrorist who is killing anyhow, when you catch that, when the family of those individuals who are victims, get in touch with the terrorists, or the terrorist becomes their prey, what do you think will happen?
Yeah, an eye for an eye, bro.
Exactly, so things like that. So these are some of the things. Now, again, from what you have asked, I think it goes back to the system has to be in place in order to make sure that this doesn't.
That is what I believe too. I agree with you on that.
Because if the system is not in place, then this will continue to occur, because people will always have to resort to a way to solve their issues and to get it faster. Now, in even people falling victims, the victims can be on both sides. We can have the innocent people being wrongly accused and hit. You can also have the aftermath effect of the jungle justice on innocent persons. I'll give you an instance. Let's say something happened around this area and people around this area gathered and killed an innocent person. And then police comes to carry everybody around here. They will carry both who is involved and who is not involved.
Right.
At the end of the day, everybody will answer for it. How about somebody just walked into that environment for the first time to visit someone
and just got
is arrested, and before you know,
so at the end of the day, really, it's a lose-lose situation. Nobody really wins, which is why the systems
have to be in place.
Yeah. When the system is broken, this is what happens. When you have broken systems that are not, if the infrastructure is not there, the society has gone to a point where the things that are supposed to be in place are not in place, especially when it comes to injustice. I think social justice is very important in any country. Every country, there has to be justice. You see, justice is a little bit more than just the law. It is in any religion whatsoever, you know, in any religion, whatever your religious background is, justice is fairness, you know.
Fairness, I agree with you.
Fairness is and in both ways, it should always be something that should be put in place. When the place becomes lawless, then this is when people take laws into their hand, and it always has a tendency to backfire. I know there's a lot of lawlessness taking place in the part of the world where you guys are residing right now. Insecurity in Nigeria is terrible. It's broken down. It is at its lowest bit. There's no security there. It's becoming a very insecure environment. It wasn't always like that, because there were times when people just go there and have a great time, have fun. So when this happens, would you say it's leadership, or would you say it's the people, or would you say it's just society falling apart? Because there's something that creates insecurity. I have my own opinion to it, especially with the Nigerian issue.
So it all boils down to leadership. So even if the people have issues, the essence of having a leader is so that the leader will set a pace or set the things right so that the system will work right. So it boils down to leadership. So when we get the leadership wrong, we get the system wrong as well.
Wow. I know another thing that can create a lot of tension and a lot of insecurity in the country, in the region, could be how people are surviving. As people, we just want to survive. We just want to live. So if you are in a place where you're not sure of your 1 square meal, talk about 2 or 3 meals a day, you're unemployed, you don't have a job, the tendency is very high that you will take matters into your hands because you want to survive. And the high rate of kidnapping in that part of the region right now is high because people are out of work. There are no jobs. So these guys have now, which is not, I'm not encouraging it, but I'm saying that most of them are university graduates who have now gone into organized crime to kidnap people. And in the process of kidnapping people, they ask for ransom, and that ransom now has become a way of survival for them, right? And others will say, oh, so this is the easy way to make money. Let me also try it. But that's not the right way to go. We agree on that. But I can see how people can easily find themselves in this situation. So like you said, the system has to change by government themselves coming in through good leadership to say, what do we do to get people out of poverty? How do we provide employment for young people in that part of the world? And in the process, walk and chew gum at the same time. Let us find out how we put infrastructure in place. Now,
yes.
I'm not running for office, but if I was to run for office, or if I was to advise anyone in the political setting on this matter, I would definitely say bring back local government police. We have them here in the US, right? Where I live, there's a local police, then you have state police, then you have the federal police, all under the same system. But the local police were the ones who are involved in the local communities, right? What you guys now call the vigilante. But you now have it as an organized structure. So you give them vehicles, you pay them salaries. Those young guys are now employed. And the best way to catch a criminal locally is to use people who are on ground, because everybody knows everybody's movement. Somebody knows.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. So, but again, we're still looking at the leadership. And so, if the leadership is not in order, the system won't be in order. Now, don't also forget that we have some of these local police as vigilantes.
Yeah.
Even up to date. Now, the question is, why do we still have them and still have these cases on the rise?
Well, the vigilante also has a certain limit of a certain power they have and does not have. For example,
because the system
did not officially carry guns, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Now, when it gets to the point where they can't handle it, and they take it to they escalate, and they loses the case from the escalation. I don't know if you get it. You've escalated, and then at that point of escalation, you lost it there, and it's falling back to you again. Now, if the system is right, if the local police jeopardizes it, what is supposed to be superior over the local police will handle those involved.
Wow.
I don't know if you're getting me. If they jeopardize, they will be held responsible. And if they escalate it, they expect that their superior will be able to handle the case right, so that they won't have that same issue repeating again, or same individuals coming back to be issues again.
Right. Wow, Obi, man, we can stay on this forever. But again, for those of you who are outside, please take out time, go and watch Linda Ikeji's new movie, Jungle Justice. Another movie I watched yesterday was very interesting. That's another funny one. It's called Before Valentine. But we're not going to talk about Valentine this weekend. We're going to talk about next
Why
weekend.
are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
No, don't worry. We'll talk about this in a minute. Hold on. Obi, welcome back, and all our audience to Broken Not Shattered. We're on our last end of the segment for today. Obi and I have been talking about Let's Talk About It, and we were talking about jungle justice in the communities, especially in the region where he is. A new movie just came out on Netflix called Dark October under Linda Ikeji's media. Guy, like I said to you earlier on, we will have a topic to discuss next weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. We also have a special guest coming to be with us tomorrow, next weekend, and it's going to be an exciting. She's just something else. I'm not going to mention her name, but she runs a program called Survival Series, and it is women who have actually gone through a lot of abuse and how they are kind of saved from that abusive relationship or abusive situation, whatever it is. And she's done this for years and years and years and years and years. And we're going to have her on the show next weekend. So we look forward to that. And I'll try and see if I can get a few people in, if possible, where they can have like a panel and just, share their own different ideas of what's going on. But if it doesn't happen and we don't have any panel, we'll definitely have our guests next weekend. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you follow us on Broken Not Shattered. Obi, man, you know what? We just talk about this thing passionately, but we need to also find a way to tell people to join us, subscribe to us. I think it's important now as we begin to grow, talk about all these topics that we get people out there. Your take.
Yeah, so I'll begin with what you said about our guest that is coming. So I will forward you a video after this event. I think it's something that just happened and is trending now, and I think it's for women. I'll send it to you after now. Okay. Then what you said about people following us, that's nice. So I think it's time when our fans and audience will have to tell their friends, to tell their friends, to tell their friends, to tell their friends. That's chain of friends. So let them always like, comment, and follow us. More importantly, follow us so that you can get updates the moment we come live or we have anything. And then there's also a lot of things that, going forward that our audience will always benefit. If you could remember, we had a guest sometime that was here, and by the special grace of God, he had challenges that from this platform were able to raise.
The young guy were able to raise money to go back to school for.
Exactly. So from here, life can be blessed and a whole lot can be touched. That's what this platform is all about. Right. Yeah. And we're working towards that.
So please, if you have a story, email us at info@brokenntshattered.com, and our team at the back end will receive it and we'll look at the story. If it's something that we can reach out to you, always give us a phone number or a way of communicating with you, or even share your story. If you want to do it anonymously, that's fine too. Our YouTube channels are very simple. Just follow us on YouTube, and it's Broken Not Shattered. Please, when you get there, subscribe and like what we're doing. The more subscription we get, the more publicity we create, and then it helps us get the word out there. Guy, thank you again this afternoon for making out time to be with me. I mean, it's I really treasure when two of us can actually talk about this, and I'm looking forward to a time when maybe you might be in this part of the world, or when I'm in that part of the world, for us just discuss more about what's going on in our community. And for those of you who are in Nigeria, in a few weeks' time, you're going to go and vote. Please vote right this time. Please vote right this time. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, Obi and I will be wrapping up. Actually, you know what, Obi? It's 30 minutes. Let's just wrap up now. So in our very famous words, 3 words we give: love, peace, and more grace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your week. I declare you have a productive and extremely productive and constructive week. May your week be peaceful. May the Lord shine his face upon you and bless you in every area of your life. May you be at peace. My guy.
Amen.
Bless you, brother. Take care.
Take care.